Hello and welcome to the 100th episode of Two Girls Talk Chances. Today we're going to review the
Oh.
astrology. I know, we made it to 100.
And
Uh, we're reviewing the astrology of November 16th through the 22nd, and we're your host. I'm Maddie.
I'm Kaleigh.
Right, and so this week is a big week. We have a lot going on. Last week, if you remember, was quieter. We're going to jump right into Sunday on the 16th. Is the sun in Scorpio is trining both Jupiter and Cancer, or sorry, Jupiter in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces. And so there's like this really big water trine forming. And we had talked a little bit last week about how Jupiter and Saturn are in this trine anyway. They are in this sort of interaction with each other as Jupiter's been stationing retrograde. And
Hmm.
now this trine to the sun, I think, just makes it all very obvious, right? You're really starting to feel like what you're expanding in your emotional sphere, and then also what you're restricting in your emotional sphere, what you're working on, and what is changing, and just a lot of awareness too around how you feel about maybe your long-term visions and your long-term direction too. I feel like Jupiter and Saturn speak a lot to like longer term planning in our
Hmm.
lives too. How do you feel
Yeah, I
this
was thinking the
trine?
exact same thing. I think like anytime Jupiter and Saturn come into contact with each other, we're thinking like long-term goals, like what's our, projected outcome in the future because Saturn already speaks to like time and this like elongation of time and pairing, Jupiter in a trine with it, we're thinking of like how do I want my life to expand over the course of this longer period of time. And yeah, the sun always represents our awareness. So as the sun comes in, we're just illuminating that and just really, I think, getting pretty clear in the mental sphere, like what do we want to do? What do we want to see manifest? Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's also too like a review, I think, with Jupiter and Saturn being retrograde. So like it could be
Yeah.
a looking back,
Hmm.
like reflecting back to since Jupiter's been in Cancer, which has been since June. And obviously Saturn's been in and out of Pisces, but it's been there since March of 2023. So it's like a looking back of like all the things that you've been expanding. Like if like in this chart, if Jupiter in the 11th house, maybe you've grown in your friendships a lot and you've been growing in your community and your people. And then also trying to like review your structures for one-on-one relationships. So it's kind of like a reflection back of like, how has that been working for you this year or not?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And this isn't our only like hit of like an interaction with like Jupiter and Saturn. We're going to talk about later in the week. Mercury
Yeah.
retrograde will trine it also. So, but I do think that this is like an initial like moment of reflection, like you mentioned. Um, yeah, and I don't know, we're like Saturn is like this is its end time in Pisces, for
Hmm.
a long time. So maybe it
Oh,
is
thank
kind of
God.
like, I know, right? Maybe it is kind of like a reflective period of like what, Saturn and Pisces has brought you and, how you can, like how, I, not how you can, but how you have like grown during that time.
Yeah, I agree. And it is sort of like it is looking, yeah, it's like a bigger looking back and reflection of just like your bigger changes too that you've been going through in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I do feel like Saturn's return to Pisces, especially with Neptune's return to Pisces, like how they're just so interlinked right now. And then, like, then they're both kind of leaving into Aries in around February of next year. So, like, they're linked, but they're very long cycles. So, it's like just kind of looking back to, like, yeah, all the growth, but then maybe what is still a little bit left to do. Because I see that in my own chart too, which is with Saturn what he rules and everything, and there's still a little bit of unfinished business there.
Yeah, I could see that too in like my own chart. I think like Saturn for me is in my 11th, and I think for some reason it has spoken to like social media, like me figuring social media out. And
Yeah.
I could see myself like I'm not yet a master of it, but like I definitely have a little bit of growth still to do.
Right. But you had
Yeah.
spent all that time growing in it in the past 3 years anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, true. So it is like a part of your chart that you have like put dedicated effort in for a really long time. And
Right.
you're reflecting on that journey and if you want to continue the dedicated effort or how you will use those tools, moving forward.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an emotional, a little bit of emotional Sunday, maybe, but like we have a really emotional week. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, with all the water stuff going on, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okie dokie, moving forward, we have Mercury retrograde in Sag, sextiling Pluto in Aquarius, and that's happening on the next day on Monday. So let me just Mercury in Sag, sextiling Pluto. I think it's a little bit of an intense, like, I mean, sextiles are soft, but I do think it might be a little bit of like an intense start to the week. Just because like Mercury is retrograde, so we have like a moving back or like a review, and then we have it meeting Pluto, which is like, inviting some like intensity to the mix. You might start to understand this like Mercury retrograde on a bit like of a deeper level because Pluto, like represents depth. So, yeah, I think it might be maybe like an uncovering of things. And as it speaks to like the larger picture, like Maddie and I had talked about before the podcast, like she had mentioned that the Mercury retrograde has been very like significant for the country and like bringing up like hidden information with like the Epstein files and like the government shutdown and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if like on this day we also have a little bit more uncovering of information in some way or another. Um, just as it's like giving that Mercury retrograde like an extra layer of like, what did you not see before?
Yeah, I agree. And because it almost seems like the whole Mercury Mars things too that happened like last week and like everything that was really being uncovered when those two conjuncted. They did conjunct, and it wasn't an exact sextile, but if you give like Pluto, like if you give outer planets a bigger orb, like more degrees, like
Mm-hmm.
usually more closer to like 5 to 10 degrees for something like Pluto, like Pluto's been sextiling these Mercury Mars conjunction, like that's
Mm-hmm.
been the aspect. And then like what just I feel like when this goes exact again for the second time, yeah, it's like no, all this information that did come out, like we do need to address it. Like we need to talk about this. Like this needs to be confronted or dealt with. But I've been really, I think, in the totality of just this Mercury station, really noticing Pluto's influence in it.
Yeah, I find it interesting because I also have noticed, and I think it's like I don't know, it's kind of like this feeling of like, is anybody gonna do anything about this?
Yes. Like, is anything
Yeah,
gonna happen? Or are we just
yeah,
like blowing smoke?
hmm
Like I
yeah, it's like
know. And
literally it could come out that like the worst thing ever could come out, and then it feels like it's just a normal day. And it's
I mean,
like,
but how does it get worse than the president being a pedophile? Like, it doesn't
yeah,
get worse than
I
that.
know that's, yeah. And then it's just nobody's doing anything. So
Anything
I don't
about
know.
it.
I don't know.
I, I know it's so annoying. And I do kind of wonder though if that is like somewhat linked with this like Uranus and Neptune going back into the like Taurus and Pisces because when they were in Aries and Gemini, they were all interacting with Pluto. And maybe that would like force Pluto to respond more to situations. But
Mhm.
now Pluto doesn't really have those direct interactions from those other two outer planets. So it's kind of like in its own free reign of like, let me just control everything and nobody can do anything about it.
Yeah, right. It is. It's like you can't. Yeah, and it's making everybody feel like they have no control. Like the things at the top are just happening, and we are just like so far out of reach of that it's just like we have to be like, all right, whatever. I guess I don't know. So
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but that is interesting what you said. Maybe, yeah, it will force Pluto to respond when we have those other two planets, outer planets shifting.
Yeah, but that's going to be a couple of months. So it's like this
Yeah.
period of like a few months. It's just like all these secrets coming out. I don't know.
But Donald Trump,
Yeah.
he does have this like smoke and mirrors effect. Like he does confuse you. Like I read like some of his responses to I think in the post that you had sent me, like some of his responses to like the Epstein files coming out and how it was like just a Democrat like
Right.
stunt or
Hoax.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. To
And
cover up him undoing the government shutdown, which the government shutdown only undid because the Democrats gave up. He
yeah.
didn't do anything to undo the shutdown. So, but again, it's gaslighting. It's just like
That's what
permanent.
I'm saying. Yeah, he like I could see like how he with the way that he presents information, I can see how things get confusing for like everyday people because it's like the way he presents it is almost like very relatable and you like want
Hmm.
to agree with what he's saying because he talks like the way he's tweeting is like he's texting you,
Yeah.
you know, and you're like, yeah, this man's telling me the truth because he's being like super relatable, but not necessarily.
Oh, oh, no. Yeah, I don't know, but I think at least personally though, this aspect will pull back to like when it first happened, which was October 30th or around the 31st, so around Halloween too. Like if anything in particular really came up for you at that time, um, you may notice a repeat or a pattern again with this aspect to on this Monday. So
True.
then we will have on Tuesday, Mercury is going to move back into Scorpio probably later that evening. And then it will start the big kind of what we're really talking about this entire like week is with Uranus being in Taurus and Neptune being in Pisces because Uranus Mercury here is going to be opposite Uranus and trining Neptune. And, big right before the new moon is going to happen next, like very early morning on the 20th. But this is like, the first precursor to it, shocking information or like big understandings, or again, like coming off of the Pluto thing, like having these big revelations from the secrets that were uncovered. And then also the Neptunian piece, though, being confused about how to handle it or like how to utilize it. Or maybe Neptune is inspiring you for this bigger dream that causes a lot of change in your life. Um,
Mm, that would be an interesting one. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like
There's is
reflecting
this
on
really,
dreams.
yeah, reflecting on dreams and then making changes again. Like these aspects, and I really did mean to like look this up beforehand. Um, but like these aspects, I think were like a really big piece in a lot of last year around this time last year and into like the early part of 2025, but the latter half of 2024 for sure, 'cause I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of coming back to that, but it's almost like, okay, what would you do differently this time? Or
Yeah.
like, what would you change differently this time? Or like, what didn't actually happen the way you thought it would? I don't know.
Hmm.
How are
Yeah.
you seeing this?
It like the Neptune returning to Pisces bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Uranus returning to Taurus.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that too. It's like maybe you initially I don't know, I've kind of been seeing it in my own life as like something that I thought was over but is not. And then it's
Mm,
kind of like this like returning to the past. I don't know. It's like yeah, I guess with like Uranus like going back into Taurus, I felt like when it had progressed into Gemini, it like released these like body changes and like obsession over like my health and things like
hmm.
that. And then like going back into Taurus, I feel like there's like it came online again, like, oh, I have to like focus on those things again where I thought I didn't have to anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see it being like returning to the past for just like a little bit, for like the next six
Mhm.
months of things that you had thought like you moved on from. Um, yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a big part of it too. And I think
Yeah.
maybe the Mercury retrograde, and Mercury retrograde too is often a time where you like look back to the past and you
Yeah, I
like
think.
look back to things that had happened, and
Yeah,
it
we're having
is,
a lot of like significators of past. I mean, almost everything is
yeah,
retrograde right now. So,
right.
yeah,
Like everything
besides
has
Mars
outer
and yeah, and
Pluto.
Venus, yeah, and Pluto.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like the outer planets are all retrograde except for Pluto.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
there
so
is like
like
a big return.
right to like where things were previous when they were in these positions a year ago.
I'm wondering if too, like it speaks to like decisions we had made like a
Mm,
year ago and like how some of those decisions are like lingering or when did Trump get elected? Do you know? Has it been a year?
it was 2024. So yeah, it's been a year.
Y- Yeah, I think we're kind of seeing like review of some of that, of some of our choices we had made like a year ago and then seeing that kind of play out.
Right. Yeah, it's becoming more very literal. Like this is the structure we chose, and then now these are the consequences, is what's happened. And
Mm-hmm.
it's actually we are no better than we were a year ago, and anything we're worse than we were a year ago.
No, for sure,
And
yeah.
so it's like kind of bringing that all to awareness right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Have you noticed just on a short bit, like Uranus retrograde back in your 10th? Like any
Yeah, work pisses me off again.
yeah. Annoyed again. Yeah.
But I've seen other different things change too. Like, my other businesses have picked up too.
Oh, like a little
Um,
bit of a good shift in that
yeah,
area.
like a good
Yeah.
shift there. But like my main day job has been sucking a lot again, very
Yeah.
literally. And I just, when I was like reflecting back, like I don't have a lot of planets that interact with like the Taurus house in general. I think literally only like my Mars and Saturn do, which are not positive planets to have an interaction to that house. And then also like when I was listening to Christopher Rainstorm talk about like Uranus leaving Taurus and going back and all that, like it just tends to create like a lot of instability of whatever house it's in. So of course it
Yeah.
coming back into my 10th house just means like my career feels unstable again. Like in good ways and in bad ways. Like business is picking up, but my day job is getting scary. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's cool.
Yeah,
That
and then maybe for your body, it's like creating again a feeling of instability, like something needs to change again.
yeah, which is interesting because it's like you had thought you achieved stability.
Right.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
So that is, yeah, we have a lot of reflection of the past, definitely. And that will, I think, we'll continue to see that, like with that new moon coming up on the 20th. And yeah,
you
because
may want to do, yeah, you nailed it. Okay, nice.
yeah, that's why all my other times have been off because I planned it up with the new moon, like with all my other
Uh,
degrees. Yeah.
got
Um,
it.
so yeah, we have Mercury retrograde conjuncting the sun at the time of the new moon. So this new moon is in Scorpio. We had a full moon in Taurus 3 weeks before this. 2 weeks.
Two
When
weeks,
was it?
yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks before this. Yeah, so we have some like stuff playing out on the Taurus Scorpio axis. So that's quite interesting. And I think always like the Taurus Scorpio axis for me is stability versus um non-attachment, I think.
Hmm.
I see Scorpio very much as like this sign that wants to be able to transform, and you can only transform through being willing to let go of things. And that's what Taurus really doesn't like to do. Taurus likes to keep things around for comfort and stability, even to the point of detriment. And Scorpio will be the one to kind of pull the plug and be like, this is not cool. Like, I'm going to leave and be unstable, whatever. So some of those themes might be coming up for you as like we have this new moon in Scorpio. Um, you might be like faced with this idea of transformation and like what am I willing to do to transform or to step outside of my comfort zone, um, to make things in my life a little bit less stable, especially Uranus and Taurus right now, in order to see my goals or my dreams or whatever it is come to fruition. Especially because this new moon, will eventually make that aspect with an opposition to Uranus and a trine to Neptune. So I think we are just faced with this idea of letting things go and transforming and non-attachment and these very like scorpionic themes. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree completely. It's very much the Scorpio Taurus axis. Like they're both fixed, but Taurus is fixed materially, where it's like it doesn't want its outer world to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes its like gold standard and like where it puts all its time into. But then Scorpio is fixed emotionally, which is harder to do, but it like really does seem to become aware of really deep emotions that need to be embraced and it attaches to that. But attaching to an emotion often means that you're letting go of things materially.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, it is this really so in a way you can kind of play into that situation, right? With like this new moon is really opposite Uranus. Like that's intense. And it is
Yeah.
trining Neptune. That's intense. Like there's a lot going on with this new moon. And the Mercury conjunct is happening on the same day of the new moon as well. And so like there's just like all this deep inner information that you're getting about how your outer world and your material world is changing or is shifting again or is like unstable, as we were talking about when Mercury
Mm-hmm.
was directly opposite. Like you're becoming aware of all that and like what emotions come up from that. Like how are you feeling about the fact that things aren't comfortable and they aren't secure and that you could lose everything in a blink of an eye. Like,
Yeah.
how do you then fortify yourself against that? Maybe fear, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like this new moon will definitely bring up fears because,
Yeah.
Scorpio and the moon is not comfortable in Scorpio, it like asks us to go to this like really deep dark place where emotions are uncomfortable. Like nobody wants to like go there, Like we want to generally be at like a baseline, that's why so much of our population is medicated because nobody wants to feel deep ugly emotions. Um but like it or not, like that's kind of gonna be part of the course for this new
Mm-hmm.
moon. Yeah, we're gonna be like having some deeper emotions. And there was, especially with like Mercury returning to the Scorpio house in your chart, you're getting another dose of like we've had so much go on in Scorpio over like the past month. So you're getting like
Right.
another dose of like what's unfolding in that. You have like a huge story unfolding there. And
Mm.
this might be like part of the story where Maddie, you had mentioned like you're coming face to face with what are your fears in this area of your life,
Yeah, I'm scared to lose my home if I lose my job.
right? Yeah, like it is, but it is that Taurus
Yeah.
Scorpio axis. Like
Yeah.
if my job is unstable, like my home is now unstable and I'm afraid to lose that. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like a big, like, it is a really kind of, in a way, like really deep internal new moon. But I do
Mm-hmm.
think you could probably see some external manifestations from it too that just challenge you emotionally and like make you like confront those fears, confront those like feelings that you otherwise like don't really tend to deal with and or like embrace head on. You're like, no, like if I can't control my outer world, like channeling some stoicism here, but like if I can't control
Yeah.
the outer world, then the only thing I can control is how I
It's your
react
inner
to
world.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my inner world. So like that's the Scorpio new moon and it's asking from you right now. It's like what can you
Mm-hmm.
do to control yourself within these situations that you're put in?
Yeah,
And
it's gonna be
yeah.
an intense one.
Yeah, there's nothing chill about this one at all.
Mm-mm. No, but Scorpio
Uh,
doesn't usually do chill anyways, so that kind of,
yeah,
checks out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think
Um,
there was something else I was gonna say, but I can't remember right now. So yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. Um,
I
yeah,
mean,
I don't know
you'll
what to.
probably will see some disruptions, like just with like the sun being opposite Uranus, or maybe
For
you'll see it,
sure. Yeah.
like some literal changes, but it's just like the impact will be more emotional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as it like you do like will see this like manifest in the Scorpio area of your life, like also, Taurus is like heavily impacted by this too. I think it's like I had mentioned at first, like paying attention to this axis will really like
Mm-hmm.
clue you in onto like the big story.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, we
Cool.
can go from there. Then the same day is when that Uranus retrograde sextiling Neptune retrograde goes exact that sextile between the two on the 20th as well. And again, I think this is just speaking to everything we were talking about in like a really
Mm-hmm.
bigger picture way of like this is the pullback that we've been getting to last year to the start of 2025 because Neptune entered Aries in March. So like, the first 3 months, but definitely all of the fall of last year and all of that, like there is a return to that. And this is where, you're kind of coming back to that energy and maybe thinking of like what's unfinished, what has been unfinished with these two planets in these like bigger long-term realms, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what do I need to do next to like wrap this cycle up?
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. But it's gonna be like a figuring out over the next like couple month kind of thing. Like not
Yeah.
exactly like a, oh, I'm one and done, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, I think that's good for that one. Are you good with that one?
Yeah. I think it's too abstract to spend too much time on.
I know, yeah, the outer planets like interacting is kind of abstract, and sometimes it's even hard to notice because sometimes it can be like more systematic things that come out, or like
Or it's just so
otherworldly.
big. Like it
Yeah.
takes us like such a long time frame. It's really
Hmm.
is better to interact in hindsight.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. So on the 21st, that Friday, so Venus Day, we'll have the sun in Scorpio, and it will be making that opposition to Uranus and that trine to Neptune, as we talked about before.
Mhm.
I think this is, some similar themes with the new moon coming up again. Yeah, I think it's just like maybe willing to embrace that instability. Like, you had that huge reflective period where maybe things were unstable. You got to the core of like, what your fears were, and like maybe now you're ready to like let go and you're ready to like be like, okay, like this is my dreams trying to Neptune, or this is like what I want to achieve or see or try to attain, and I'm going to like embrace the instability that's coming to get there, or I'm gonna like let things go. I think it's like bringing the ego on board with everything that had happened emotionally.
Yeah, and I think too though it could be like where the literal changes happen or the literal shock happens from
Mm-hmm.
the new moon. Like
Mm-hmm.
so the new moon could be like planting that little seed, and then the next day is like you get the email or you get the message and you're like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like and two, seeing this new moon right here next to Mars, the next day,
True.
like
Yeah.
really just highlighting that frustration or that challenge that suddenly comes up from the Uranus opposition of like, this has changed a lot now, and how do I fight against it or, work with it?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think we do definitely will be like over the period of like from the new moon and like 1 or 2 days after it, I think emotions will be pretty high, I would
Oh, yeah, it's
say.
gonna be so bad.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun. Um,
It's I think things are going to be explosive and reactive. And I know I've been studying a little bit of like astrology in my own like world with my own interest, and Mars and Sagittarius has been like really like quick and, you know, belief fueled action. So like if something big gets disrupted, the Mars and Sagittarius is like, well, I have to make this change instantly because I believe this to be true and this is my
mhm.
truth to everything. And yeah, it's gonna be a little rough week.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting also to see like as Mars stands alone from Mercury because they've been like so close together. Like,
Right.
Mercury's going to be significantly separated at this part and at this point, and then Mars will like continue to, dance its way
Push
forward.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see like Mars isolated in Sagittarius and how that
Probably just like not overthinking your actions and just taking bigger risk without thinking about them as much.
Yeah, I would think so too, like eliminating the thought process from things and just
Yeah.
going for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
sure. Cool.
Right. The same day or like later on the 21st, it's like later that evening on the 21st on Friday, the sun does enter
I'm
into
gonna push
Sagittarius.
ahead.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
go
that's
ahead.
fine. Yeah, the sun in Sag is going to be a little bit of like a rebirth. That is kind of the progression of the zodiacal signs anyway. You know, like Scorpio is where you go to die, and then Sag is where you go
Yeah,
to be reborn. And so, it is just like the fire is just kind of inspiring, right? It's like, okay, all this emotional drainage, I processed all this emotional drainage from the structures and stabilities that are no longer stable in my life or that have been changing. You know, now what do I do? Like, it kind of creates this feeling of freedom sometimes. Like, once you accept everything at
yeah,
once and like accept your emotional placement at once, you can like, you're free to just move on and try other things, take other actions.
for sure.
Um,
Yeah,
I like the sun in Sag, but that's my fifth house. So
I like it too. I think Sag for me is always like the sign without baggage. And I
yeah,
think because it's like been through Scorpio, it's like
right.
let go of those things. Like, I cannot tell you the amount of times like I've had a Sag tell me like, let's like just have fun and not focus on like the deep things. And
Yeah.
it is like very much that. And I think, after we have all those planets like in Scorpio, after we have the new moon there, I think we're going to be like more than ready to like just embrace life again.
Mm-hmm.
And, just like, can we just get on with the picture and like enjoy things a little bit? And I think that's very much like symbolic of the sun entering Sag.
Yeah, because with the Jupiter exaltation, the philosophical side of Sagittarius is also going to be really high. So it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like, well, everything is shit and the world is shit, but does it matter? No. Okay, let me just live my life,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of however you like compartmentalize or process or like theorize the world is kind of how you cope from the
True.
Scorpio new moon.
Mm-hmm.
And that coping though allows freedom because you have an answer. If it's just your own answer, but it's still an answer to why everything happened, you
True,
know.
true. Yeah. I think on a separate note, like Sagittarius is who are having their solar return this year. I think they're, might have quite a nice year ahead because their sun is being ruled by that Jupiter in Cancer. So I think that's just like a cool side
Yeah.
note. Yeah.
Just hopefully if it's like a night chart, not Mars there.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But it will be good. So yeah, I'm excited for
Cool.
that.
Yeah, me too. I think that'll be nice. And then 2 days. When is Thanksgiving this year? It's not till
It's
like the
not till
28th.
next,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
27th, yes.
I don't know why I thought it was the 24th. That is not right. Anyways, on the 22nd, actually, it's still there. We have that Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. And this is what I had referred to earlier. I was like, when we have this trine, we'll have like a visitation of that trine again later in the week. And this is kind of what I
Mm.
was referring to.
Oh, it's
Um,
perfect too. It's like the first trine was on Monday and then the last trine's
that's
on the
trine is on
Sunday.
Saturday. Yeah. Is it Sunday or Saturday?
Yeah, it's Sunday.
Sunday.
Or Saturday, sorry. Yeah, Saturday. But it's like it started on Sunday, sorry. The first trine was on Sunday at the start of the week. And this last trine's on Saturday. So it like
Yeah.
encapsulates the whole week.
Week. Yeah. Yeah. So I think like a visitation back of what we had spoken about earlier, long-term goals again. And maybe now it like, I don't know, relates to some kind of mental sphere, maybe you're deciding to think about things differently, or, you think like, in order for me to move forward in this way, like I really got to fix like my mental sphere. And, maybe you're holding, especially like Mercury and Scorpio, maybe you're holding a lot of, um, like, how do you call this? Like drudgy stuff? I don't know. Like, things that hold you down mentally. Like gook, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
like
Heavy gunk.
gunk, yeah, like I
I
couldn't think
don't
of the
know.
vocabulary word.
Sludge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Swamp
maybe you're
water.
swamp water. Yeah, you're like just holding like a lot of things that maybe aren't benefiting you mentally
Right.
to reach what you want to reach. So this is like, how can I work on my mental like sphere? How can I CBT myself in order to like get to what I want?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's like this like big picture unfolding. Like all this happened this week, right? Like it was a very active week. We had a lot of things happen. You probably saw some things materially change in your world too. You probably
Mm-hmm.
saw something really change. And then, the Jupiter and the Saturn aspect is like, again, like theorizing it or like putting it in this, projecting it into this like bigger picture of like, okay, well, that's this now. Like, how does this play again to my bigger vision and to the structures that I need to form? You're just like, this is giving you a good opportunity to like restructure yourself and like reground yourself again in a way, at least emotionally, with like your future ideals and what's still possible for the future. And then what is the work that it will take to get there? Like, okay, what structures do you need to implement now that these changes has happened?
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. Yeah. I think it's a an interesting thing, and it's the last. We will have Venus actually come
Yeah.
in and
And
make a
and he'll do
trine.
it in one more time too when Mercury goes
It's
direct.
direct.
So
Yeah.
so
Cool.
there's still it's like it's still on playing, like it's still playing out. Like no, you don't have to leave this week thinking you have it all figured out. But
No. Yeah. And like
yeah,
we said earlier, like this is a big story like unfolding,
yeah.
and it's like part of it. Yeah.
Yes, it's just these are the events that are happening, but you can hopefully like just reconfigure your schedule a bit or your plans a bit around the Saturday, Sunday this weekend and just like kind of get yourself feeling like, okay, I can handle this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Be a good weekend to like organize your things and, get
right.
ready for like a fresh start the week ahead.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Cool. That's
Well,
all
big
for
week.
now. That
Yeah.
is, yeah, that is a really big week.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that plays out. Hopefully, I don't lose
Hmm.
my job.
Yeah, that would be really crazy. Hopefully I don't
Get
poop,
sick.
poop my pants. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
usually like what happens when I get sick. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. All right. Well, if you want more content from us, then you can just reach out to us on TikTok or Instagram at Two Girls Talk Transits and YouTube as well. We have our videos posted there, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.